I've got you.
Well, yes, but we have this lovely lady at the bottom of the screen
Yes,
here.
we do. We have longtime friend and client, Daphne Cox, and her husband, Tim, own General Office Supply here in Amarillo. And Hearts of Service, they help so many nonprofit groups. Their kids are perfect. Their home is perfect. They have a
Perfect.
dog. Their dog is perfect.
I don't know about that.
So cool. Hey, can't beat a perfect dog. Well, you
Yeah.
know that they must be consistent because 30 years, what's going on there?
Yeah, tell us about it, Daphne.
Well, Tim started out at General Office Supply. He was actually started out as a delivery driver back in 1993. And he was working for a Jonesboro plane at that time, and he was making an office supply or making a paint delivery, and they offered him a job. And so he started working as a delivery driver, worked his way up, and then in 2008 we bought the business from the previous owners. So
Wow. Now you said 2008 you bought the business.
yes.
Wow.
But he's been working there since 1993. So.
Wow. So you knew right away. You didn't have to research what kind of business you wanted to go into. You knew he obviously loved it so much there and the culture there. And apparently they were doing such good business. You bought the business. What a success story. What position did he start out in 93?
He started out as a delivery, and he went up to shipping and receiving. And then he was promoted to sales, and that's how we met.
Oh.
And he traveled the Texas Panhandle probably for 10, 15 years and just absolutely loved the customers, formed major, relationships. They got to watch our kids grow up, and just family. And it was just always been family.
Did I tell you their kids are perfect too?
Yes, you did. Perfect kids, match made in heaven. What I'm curious about is, people do business with people they like. And I think people like you when they hear your story. How did you and Tim meet? Did he stroll in to sell some office supplies, or?
I actually worked at the printing shop. I worked at a print shop, and he would come in and call on us. We bought our office supplies from him, and he bought his printing from us, and he just kept coming in more frequently. And yes, we hooked up that way. So that's how we met.
Oh, did he write on the pads? A little phone number, a little action there.
Hey, Daphne, can I have a sticky note?
Hi. I'd like to give you scratch pads and write love notes on them. Well, that's awesome.
In my office the first time he asked me out, and he nearly thought I was terrible, and I said yes. Yeah.
Well, and the way you're giggling, it seems like it was yesterday, Daphne. That's congratulations. That's wonderful. So how long have you been married now again? It
was 21 years in October.
Wow. So. Wonderful. Fantastic. Now they say what makes you different is what makes you successful. What's some of the things that are different, about your company?
Our company just offers that old-fashioned customer service. Everyone comes in, they get greeted with a smile, a hello. How can we help you? It's just always, we just really pride ourselves on that, because you just don't get that anymore. Wow. And just a small town feel, just even from on the phone, or when they call and place orders on the phone, or when they get online, we just try to offer that personal service.
Wow.
There's a guy named Don Taylor, and a lot of people in this area know who he is or was. And Don wrote a book called Up Against the Walmarts, and he used to do a column in the Globe News, which contributed to him putting the book together. But it was about small business people and how they have to work harder and what they have to do to be able to compete with the big box stores.
Right.
So here's General Office Supply. And a lot of people, like I took my grandkids to the celebration that they had last week for General Office Supply and Tim. And Daphne does everything perfectly. I mean, what can I say about Daphne? But anyway, I asked my grandkids, I said, we're going to look for the business that has a big pencil outside. And so that got them kind of excited looking for the pencil. And so it's a big yellow pencil. And so we had a good time. We went inside, but the design of the building it's like the arms are wide open when you walk in. It's spacious, and they've got all kinds of modern furniture that works for all kinds of situations. That's functional. It's also professional looking, but it's comfortable where you can still work and have good posture. They have desk risers, so if you want to work standing up, got all kinds of things. And I've gotten a couple of chairs from there. And then also the latest project we had was that the floor pad that I had at my desk was getting worn out, and it was thinner than what they sell. They sell the good stuff.
Wow.
And so I kept rolling into my desk all the time, and I said, I need something to help me out on that. And they figured out a good way to fix the problem with a new pad that they put in there for me. But they go for customer service. They want to fix it, and you're personal to them. And I can't say enough about it. And I've bought my supplies from them. They even have fun supplies. So if you've got somebody that's stuck at their desk all the time and they want something fun, they've got staplers and tape dispensers that are different. In fact, I've got one right here. Don't go away.
Hey, I'm surprised you can find it right there on top of the earth.
Yeah.
Hey, all right.
This is a tape dispenser, and it's a puppy dog, and he's housebroken.
Hey, well, there you go. You know, well,
Yeah.
you touched on something earlier, DJ, and as I've traveled all throughout the country, I love the quaint towns I get to drive through, but I'll never forget when I discovered that it wasn't the economy that so many of these downtowns were half empty in their buildings. It was the monolith that moved around America, and so many small businesses just couldn't compete. And then they would move on to the next place and leave a big, ugly building. And all that to say, no offense to anyone associated with Walmart, but folks, it's so important that you support local businesses, locally owned and operated businesses, because they really have the heartbeat of America. And you can't beat personal service and a relationship, because I don't know about you, DJ and Daphne, but business is so relational now. Cheap becomes pretty expensive if you have to have it redone or have to repurchase or whatever. But when you work with people you trust, who generally care about you and share your values, versus the giant, the world's largest employer, it's a wonderful thing to connect and spend your money locally, keep your money local. So I encourage everybody to get behind Daphne and Tim. And what's been your experience with DJ, Daphne?
Well, DJ's awesome. She's just always supportive. She's always giving us ideas. Hey, Daphne, try this, let's do this. And we're actually meeting later on today just to discuss and brainstorm some ideas on how to promote our business. And she's just always on my team, just my right-hand person. And she's pretty close to perfect herself.
Hey, all right. Well, I got to raise the bar. I got to get perfect like you and Tim and DJ and the dogs and the kids. What a delight it is, DJ, to talk with Daphne today. Just another fantastic business here in Amarillo.
When she was talking about her company, though, also the people that they hire, that was impressive last week also. But Daphne and I've been together for a good while, and when they've gotten ready to hire somebody for sales or something like that, I've kind of nagged her into, well, who is it you're looking at? Let's talk about it. And if I've had a bad experience with them, I'm honest about it. And it turns out they take that kind of garbage with them everywhere they go. And I'm very particular about my friends and my clients, and I don't want them getting had if I've been had.
Right.
And but I can truly tell you, I love this couple, and they're fun. They're dedicated. They're BBB winners. They a couple of years ago on Business of the Year. So I'm very, very honored to be part of General.
It's people like this, DJ, that you find an excuse to do business with. And so what's the best website? I know we've had your graphic on the screen the whole time. What all can they see from your website, Daphne?
They can see everything from online catalogs, digital catalogs, basically everything about our company. We try to make it order friendly. They can also place orders on our website, and we try to make it, we're constantly improving it to make it more user friendly. And
fantastic. Well, DJ, just another fantastic business in Amarillo, Texas. What a delight to see you again, Daphne. We'll see you at the upcoming networking breakfast. And
looking forward to it.
Always incredible. Just another fantastic business in Amarillo. Thank you so much, DJ and Daphne.
You're welcome,
Welcome,
partner.
partner.
All right, we'll see you next time. Hey, folks, excited for today's show and today's interview with none other than the creators of Prophet You in Amarillo, Texas. The incredible event coming up, the 15th, this Sunday of the airing of this show, and it's called The Gathering of the Eagles, but it's none other than Bill and Kathy Johnson. How you doing, Bill and Kathy?
We're doing great.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you, Brent. Good to see you.
Well, it's always good to see you. Now, Amarillo is it's a fantastic city, fantastic town with wonderful people. We've been meeting all kinds of people, doing these meetings with Todd Pitts and Ron Till, and we did some with Larry Lee and myself, and meeting people like you. The people in Amarillo, Texas, are becoming more and more aware of the office of the modern day prophet. But that's nothing new to you, because both of you are forerunners and going strong with this prophetic movement in America. And so tell the viewers, if you would, for those who are seeing you for the first time, about Prophet You and how you got started.
Go ahead. Jump in there, Kathy.
It's a long story, but it's a great story, and it has been a passion of our life and an honor. The Lord awakened us, to the gifts of the Holy Spirit years ago in the 80s, and then introduced us in person to the gift of the prophetic gift. And Bill went and got trained with Christian International and got activated in his training gift, came back home and reached out to our pastor and said, hey, I believe we could do this on a local level. And pastor said, go for it. And that was at least 25 years ago. And so in that whole history and story, we've trained up thousands of people in hearing the voice of God, which is necessary for living a productive, healthy life with the Lord, but then also targeting and calling up people in the prophetic to search out and learn the real importance of prophecy in daily life and in the life of the church and in the life of our country and in the life of our families. So we just love prophetic. We love training people to hear God's voice. We love seeing them grow in the outpouring or the activation of that gift. Right. And so like I said, we've probably trained thousands of people, and we've ministered to thousands and thousands of people as a result of that, as our church allowed us to raise up prophetic teams. Wow. But then about 5 years ago, in a fulfillment of a prophetic word that we got in 2001, we launched out into the region and created what is now called Prophet You. And it is a regional training community and a prophetic, if you will, eagle's nest for prophets from many denominations from all over the region to gather together to celebrate the prophetic and the gifts of the Spirit at our Gathering of the Eagles events, but also to join in and be trained to be in the office gift and or along the path to becoming an office prophetic or a prophet to the community. So we've been doing that for 5 years. And so we're celebrating our 5th anniversary, and we're excited to have Gathering of the Eagles this Sunday night at 5:30 out at the Sims Barn in Canyon.
Yes. Beginning to teach people about the prophetic is like trying to walk on thin ice, because you really don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And so they begin to understand that they actually can hear the voice of God for themselves. It's amazing to me how many people do not really grasp that idea.
Right.
That God created his voice to be heard.
Right.
And so as we come together and train as prophetic people, that we can go out and we can hear God's voice, then we can speak for God. We actually have the authority to speak for God. Now, so as we begin to rest in that and stop struggling with it, then a lot of things begin to happen that people didn't realize could happen.
Yeah, and one of the things that happens is people get free from the spirit of fear and of intimidation, and they get plugged into their purpose and their calling, because hearing God's voice is where you get called and where you get the affirmation of the Lord and the go of the Lord. And so as we've been training people over these years, we've seen them get completely free from the spirit of fear and the spirit, and even some people who have been diagnosed with agoraphobia have been instantly delivered as we've worked with them in the classes. And they get delivered of the fear of man, the fear of looking at people in the face, and of the fear of being wrong, because the Lord has been training pastors and teachers and evangelists for years. We don't expect them to be perfect, but many times we think prophetic people should be perfect. Right. And so we have, just in the whole process of this, we've called it a permission project, that we're each one a project that we need to get permission to as we grow and as we develop and we become more attuned to the Lord's voice, and learn to use it in a way that is productive and helpful for building up the body. So it's been a ride.
It's been a ride.
I bet it has been, because see, you two are generals among the prophetic community. I've been around you in private too. You're the same people in private as you are in public. I can't say that about everyone that I've interviewed or that I've been around, but I'm happy to say that about you two folks. Bill and Kathy Johnson are the real deal. If you lived in Amarillo any number of years and you have been attuned to this circle of prophetic people with Bill and Kathy Johnson, Michael Sluter, his wonderful family, incredible wife, then you're going to know that there is a history here. There's a longevity there, because, Bill and Kathy, there's all kinds of yous popping up,
Yes.
And it can be a fly-by-night thing. It can be an ego showboat thing. But when it comes to Bill and Kathy Johnson, folks, I have all the faith in the world and all the encouragement to you in the world to endorse real people who are proven and tested and continue to break new ground in these days. 2023, it's going to be crucial that you hear the voice of the Lord. Your Bible may be outlawed. Who knows? There might be a lot of these churches with the doors closed. What are you going to do then if you haven't learned to read your word and you haven't learned to hear the voice of the Lord? Bill and Kathy, I've been operating in the prophetic since I was 7 years old. But I don't put that on my business card necessarily. I'm just not led to. But when the Spirit of the Lord is in you and you hear the voice of the Lord and you learn to walk without fear, without anxiety, and you don't care who knows your name, as long as Jesus is made known and as long as people's lives are transformed and God is lifted up and his word communicated to the people, well, then you're positioning yourself to learn how to hear the voice of the Lord. You guys get really detailed in it, and your prayer meetings you have with Michael Sluter, such strategic prayer meetings as well. You people really care about this city, even down to mapping out strategic issues that I really believe your prayer meetings have had a direct positive impact, even on legislation in the nation.
Well, in addition to the prayer meetings, we have about every 8 weeks we call them impact trips, where we actually go on location and pray and declare and decree. We work with other non-profit organizations and try to promote what they're doing for the kingdom as well. And so we just really do love the city and the region, and we can't love it well if we're not concerned for its benefit, and if we're not speaking and declaring the kingdom of God for those events and for those places. So that we do believe that as the ecclesia, we are called to legislate from heaven to earth and bring what God is speaking about Amarillo, about these organizations and places, into being, because things are created by the spoken word. And so
You know,
we are just learning that.
well, and you're teaching that. I was impressed with how you supported other ministries. And you know, Jesus said, as you well know, that they will know my disciples by their love for one another. When you love the people you minister to, you don't own them. And I've seen so much of that. But both of you encourage people. You encourage other ministries. You lift up other people, other ministries. And I really know that you love people. You don't think you own people. The people who meet you, they love you, and for good reason. Folks, at the bottom of your screen, at the airing of this show, you're going to see the way to connect with Bill and Kathy Johnson and Prophet You. But, you know, I've seen a lot of things, you know, in the last 40 years of ministry, and I'm just learning many, many things. But I tell you what, you want to link up with a prophetic community and leaders who have been around, who have paid the price. You know, a lot of people that work in the prophetic, they have no price to pay if they're wrong. But you two have really put yourselves out there in such an official way that you mean what you say, and you say what you mean, and you say it with authority, and you say it with anointing, and you have the credibility of any group that I know of in Tulsa. Now, there came a time when it was time to branch out on your own. A lot of people in different places, and this is not always the same situation, but a lot of people will find themselves, there's prophetic people in every church, and some churches embrace that, some churches don't embrace that.
Right.
And so you have all of these prophetic people that the pastor doesn't know what to do with many times, and they end up not having a place or not having a community. Folks, you can link up with Bill and Kathy Johnson. And what would you say to the people who have a prophetic calling on their life and they just don't fit where they are, you know, but they want to know how to hear the voice of the Lord, and they want to see this world come to the knowledge of the truth? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, one of the reasons we have these events called Gathering of the Eagles, it was a part of that prophetic word we got back in 2001. We didn't know when and where or how that was going to manifest itself.
Right.
But the first year we opened Prophet You, the Lord woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. At 3:30, actually it's 3:33 in the morning, to the voice of Dick Clark saying, "The Eagles will debut on August the 3rd.
Hey, all right.
And I knew he was, that voice, that was the voice of the Lord, but he used the voice of Dick Clark because Dick Clark did premiere up and coming talent, up and coming voices on his bandstand show every Saturday morning.
Record bandstand, yeah.
Well, I jumped out of bed, looked to see if August the 3rd was a Friday or a weekend. And sure enough, it was. And the Lord began confirming that we were to do the first gathering of the Eagles. Well, out of that conversation with the Lord, we asked him who were the Eagles, because Eagles is very symbolic of prophets. Across the board, Old and New Testament, because they see from a far distance.
Right.
And they're elevated birds. But anyway, we said, Lord, what eagles are we supposed to invite in? And he said, I want you to gather the eagles who have been, as well as having good speakers, but also be a place where eagles who have been disenfranchised or don't have a place for community to come together, to be healed, to be loved, and to be heard. And so we still to this day invite the public and invite anyone who has a prophetic unction on their life, who don't have a community, that don't have a church that has a real grid for releasing prophetic voices in their church, to come and to be healed, to be supported, and to be valued, and then become more healthy. Because often we're left to self-develop as prophets, and so we get some renegades, we get some who kind of flop their foot over the line all the time, and they don't really know how to navigate. But in these Gathering of the Eagle meetings, we are developing relationships with people who have been scattered. And in fact, our first Gathering of the Eagles, there were a couple of faces that we were it was a marker to us that we were hearing the Lord.
Wow.
If they were to come to this meeting, we would know we were hearing the Lord's voice, because these faces had indeed been hurt, had been damaged, and had stepped outside of the church and were out on their own, and they came and threw their heads upon our necks and just wept and said,
Wow.
thank you for providing a place for us to be seen and for us to be safe and for us to heal. And so anyway, so that's part of where the Gathering the Eagles got launched way back 5 years ago.
Wow.
And we've been doing these regional meetings now about every 8 weeks. And then we have a big conference in August. So open to the public.
You know what I like about this and what I'm hearing about this, you know, when NASA shoots a rocket off to the moon, it's only on course 2% of the time. The rest of the time it's being adjusted.
That's
Well,
such a good analogy.
Yeah, it's true. Well, you can still be a rocket. You can still have a destination. You can still have a mission, but you need to surround yourself with people who will lovingly adjust you
Amen.
as you
That's right.
move on.
That's good. That's good.
And that's what we're doing. And when we surround ourselves with brothers and sisters who love us and we can trust,
Mhm.
that's when you have a scenario that we can grow in our gift, because we can't be a Lone Ranger. I was a Lone Ranger for many years, but I'm realizing how important it is to surround myself with people who love me enough to tell me the truth and to allow the Lord to do his surgery to, you know, it's like that statue of David. They have asked Michelangelo, how did you ever carve David out of that cracked piece of marble or granite? Someone said, he said, I just carved away everything that didn't look like David. Well, when you surround yourself with people like Bill and Kathy Johnson, they can help you. They're time tested and proven. They are a credible you. I can say that. Can't say that about others necessarily, but I can say that about that. And they will help you carve away what needs to be in the most loving way, because they don't own you. They want to do their part to raise you up. You know, in the church world, we talk a lot about bring them in, build them up, send them out, but we don't do that. We want to bring them in and keep their tithes.
Right.
Not always, but majority of the time, because how that structure is. But folks, if you want to hook up with people, connect with people that are walking in this, that will refine you and really care about you and you representing the Lord well, then you'll link up with Bill and Kathy Johnson. Thank you so much for being with me on the show. I can't wait till next time. We want to keep up with both of you, and I can't wait to see what happens next and hear a good report about this weekend, the Gathering of the Eagles with Prophet.
Thank you.
Bill and Kathy Johnson. We'll see you folks next time.
Thank you, Brent. It's an honor. Bless you.
Hey friends, this is Brant. You know, years ago, I discovered a secret that enabled me to navigate this reality, to live a fearless life, free from anxiety, where nothing was impossible for me. If you want to have a fearless life, free of anxiety, to live in joy and success and fulfillment, walking out your destiny and living out your purpose, you got a better chance of doing that if you read The Red Pill Prophet on Amazon.com.